Okay, so problem 4 and 11.1, I'm going to have to flip to a second slide here, but the idea is we're looking at a piecewise function, and they give us the two equations here. Yours are going to be slightly different, and then they give us the two rules or the two pieces of the domain for each one. So step 1, you have to do all of these steps in order so that you don't get locked out of the question. Don't skip anything, answer each question. So for mine, this graph, that's going to be a straight line. So that will be a linear family. And then for me, again, I think you'll have the same thing. You have an x squared, so that's going to be a parabolic curve. It's a quadratic, a U-shaped graph, so I believe that the pull down will say parabolic. And then x equals 2 belongs to which domain? So is it both equations, neither, whatever? So what you're going to do is go back to the domains here and see where it says equal to. It's less than or equal to. So for my problem, we're going to use the negative 4x. Y equals negative 4x will be mine. 2 belongs to that domain. All right. Now, if we were going to graph this thing, many of you probably can visualize what it is, but I'm going to go ahead and sketch a graph using an XY table for both equations. And so what I'll do is just sketch it on here. And I will do the negative 4x in blue. And so that says x's that are less than or equal to 2. So I'm going to start with the 2 and do numbers that are less than until I can see what's happening on the graph. And so when I put a 2 in, I get negative 8. When I put a 1 in, I get negative 4. And when I put a 0 in, I get 0. So I'm going to go to 2, negative 8. Be about right there. And I use a closed dot. This dot will be closed because 2, remember 2 is in the domain. It's equal to. So then I go to 1, negative 4, 1 to the right, down 4, and then 0, 0. So I know this first one is cutting through like this, make it a fairly straight line. And again, we're just sketching it, so it's not too big a deal. Then I'm going to do the next one. I'll do this one in green, and I'm going to start at 2, but I should do numbers that are bigger than 2. X's that are greater than 2 is what it's telling you. So we'll go 3 and 4 until I kind of know what's going on with this graph. So if you put a 2 in, I get 2 squared, which is 4. And then I do 2 times negative 4, which would be negative 8. So that's a total of negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. So when I'm at 2, I'm only down at 7. Now I should use an open dot for that one. And then when I put in 3, I get 9, because 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So 9 and negative 12 is negative 3. And then negative 3 is negative 6. So I'm going to go up 1 there. And then if I do 4, 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, so that's 0. So I'm at negative 3. So now I'm up at, when I'm to the right, 4, I'm down 3, 1, 2, 3. So on this side, I can see this one's doing something like that. And so then you can look at our pictures and match it with the correct one. Then we go into what is called a two-sided limit. So if I'm approaching from the left, that's using that y equals negative 4x graph. So the numbers that are smaller, left of 2 are smaller, so that's why I picked this one. And what they're doing is they write the function down and then they put a 2 in. And what do you get? Well, I get -8. Then the next one is they say from the right side. So these are numbers that are bigger than 2. So that was this function. They wrote it down. Then notice they put a 2 in for each x. What happens when you put a 2 in? You get 2 squared, which is 4. -4 times 2 is -8, so that's a -4, and we ended up getting -7. So you'll have to check what your numbers are, but because we're approaching 2 different numbers at that particular spot, that's a D and E. And then going back to our graph, you can see that at 2, I have one that's at that spot and one that's there. They're not together. They're close, but they're not together. So the graph and that actual calculation, because I put both numbers into each equation and we came up with 2 different answers, at 2 there is no limit, so D and E.